Hello, everybody. This is Lindsay from Light Technology Publishing, and I have the privilege of sitting here with Dyan Garris today. Thanks for coming on the call and the interview with us.
Thanks for having me, Lindsay. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm really excited to have you here too. So how would you introduce yourself these days?
Yeah, so that's always a tough one, right? So, I'm an award-winning musician, an award-winning author, a psychic, a medium, a trance channel. Although I'm retired from that part of things these days, and I had a big spiritual website, Voice of the Angels, for many, many years. And I started off in way back in the '90s with an angel oracle deck, which was the Voice of the Angels spiritual cards, and that had channeled messages from our angels. And those messages were channeled to me in a quatrain verse, which was really odd for the time. Well, the whole thing was really odd for the time. But the cards were a journey through a guided meditation called the Healing Journey. And that was channeled to me, and that started that whole thing. So when you put all these verses together that came on the cards, it actually went back and formed the actual meditation, so like a complete circle. So it also had music that went with it, and there was a journal. So it was like an integrated healing journey. Um, but anyway, I couldn't get it published for some reason because it was way, way before the Doreen Virtue stuff, and there weren't any metaphysical publishing houses. Well, not many, maybe one or two. And then after that, in 2005, I created a series of music and meditation for vibrational attunements. That was 60 days music and meditation, and that all got steadily higher in vibration and frequency as the whole series went along. So it was sort of like its own chakra balance series. And then CD number 7 was called Release. I was vibrating high enough to just through the music alone, vibrating the crown chakra. And so it didn't need a formal guided meditation. And that series was independently tested and won the National Health and Wellness Stamp of Approval. But my point is, we can change what we do or how we show up in the world, and we really can't change who we are like as a soul. So your soul has that purpose, and it comes in everything's uh, pre-planned to do. And my work has always been frequency and energy fields, and it still is. That never changed, but what I do changes here and there. So, as you can see from what I just told you. So, yeah, that's my work: frequency and energy fields and vibrations.
Well, that's wonderful. And I love what you said because our work is always evolving, right? And as the earth shifts and changes, we evolve with it. So our work changes too, right?
Well, yeah, but the way you do your work is gonna change.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, um, yeah, but what you came to do is not gonna change. I mean, you have a mission, yeah, and you're doing. You just
Yes.
get to choose how you're gonna do it and how spirit guides you to do it. That's gonna change with the times. Yeah. Because like for example, when I told you about my Oracle deck, channel message from angels, that was pretty woo woo way back in the early '90s.
That's right.
Um yeah, people were like, "What are you talking about, lady?" No, we're not publishing this. Yeah.
Meanwhile, you were way ahead of your time, with that. So,
Yeah, unfortunately, but it worked out. It all worked out.
Well, that's amazing. And what is your connection these days with like technology publishing or the Sedona Journal?
Yes, well, I love my connection with Sedona Journal. I'm the music reviewer for Sedona Journal and Emergence, Sedona Journal of Emergence, and I love doing that. And I've been doing music journalism for quite a few years, probably since 2014, maybe. But it's my way of helping my fellow artists get their music out there. I also do music promotion. But
Yeah.
for the magazine, I'm the reviewer.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I love reading your articles in the Sedona Journal every single month, and it's just special to learn about new music that's really of a higher vibration, and just to learn some new things. So it's great.
Uh, Thank you. I mean, you know what? A lot of really high vibrating music out there these days, and I'm really happy to help get it noticed, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And in your experience working with frequencies and being a music journalist, why do you feel music is so important to us, both individually and collectively? Or why is this work, so important to you?
Ah, yes. Well, it's not just important to me. I think it's important to us all because you know how you hear a song and it takes you back to whatever you were doing right in that moment, and
Yes.
then yeah, and all the emotions of that time flood back to you and into you, and maybe you can even remember what you were wearing. And well, and that's because music works on the emotional body level. So it's really important to us as an individual and the collective um, to try to understand this because it connects us to our emotional body, keeps our heart center open. It helps us connect back to ourselves and therefore as a collective. So the same thing that's going on there in the collective too. So I can just sort of abbreviate that to music as a point of unity. Uh, if we want to see it that way, that's our choice.
And what about right now in terms of the frequency of music, what we're hearing, maybe not through the radio so much anymore, but through other means like MP3s or whatever the device or the software it is that we're using? Um, in today's day and age, how humanity is changing and our technology is evolving. How is it even more important right now to maintain a good vibration or higher vibration with music or with frequencies?
Okay, so I'm going to put it this way. I think right now, humanity as a collective is going through a really heavy duty ascension process, right?
Yeah.
And, a lot of what's real, what's not real, what's right, what's wrong. We're so divided. It's kind of a big mess, right? So we can use music as a unifying force that can help balance us and bring us back to our heart space. Or, like in the case of, there's some real angry kind of music out there, right? So, in the
Yeah.
case of angry music, yeah, it can take us out of our hearts. But because music is a frequency and vibration, if we understand it that way, we can understand the power of it. We can use it as a catalyst for positive change if we want to do it that way. So, um, but yeah, it's super important. It's not just extraneous noise that we hear.
Yeah.
It's healing. It's healing. It's healing to us. Like all my music is channeled. So when I started that series way back when, I would hear the music in my head first, and then I would try to play it. but I could hear it first, So it's like, and I've talked to a lot of uh, artists these days, and they have the same thing going on. They hear it, and then they bring it through. Those are the frequencies and vibrations that are in the angelic realm and the higher field, whatever you want to call it. that are being channeled to us uh, on the earth plane to try to help us in this ascension process. So we need to pay attention to that.
Wow. Yeah, and, do you think that or in your experience, certain music with the different frequencies going on, the different tonalities, all the levels of it, how does it exactly heal the body and aura? How does angry music differ from, something more what we would call high vibrational? Maybe we could break it down in those couple of ways.
Sure. So I don't know if you're familiar with the Solfeggio frequencies.
Yes, okay.
Solfeggio.
Mhm.
That well, those frequencies are actually part of music theory. They're not just some woo-woo thing out there that some new age person came out with. They're
Right.
this music theory that goes back, way back. Okay, so those there are different frequencies of those. So let's say 528 hertz, um, which a lot of musicians are tuning their music to, or 432 hertz. Those each frequency has its own kind of healing purposes. So one of those frequencies will lower the blood pressure. One will open the, or slow the heart rate down. Things like that. So there is a very real thing. Scientific studies back it up. And so when you're listening to music done in those frequencies, you're grounding, centering, attuning to yourself, attuning to the collective. It's good for everybody for us to do that on an individual level because it ripples out. We're not autonomous. We are connected, whether we like it or not. And so when you're listening to music and meditation and things that are done in those frequencies, it helps everybody actually.
Right. Wow. So when did you know in your life or in your journey that you were so in tune with music, the frequencies, healing the body or healing the emotional body and the aura? Was this always your purpose?
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, uh, yeah. Unfortunately, maybe I don't know. I came in here. I had an angelic encounter when I was 4 because I was with my family of origin. I kind of didn't know who they were. I wasn't doing what they were doing, and I got really scared, and, I had an angelic encounter not even but I did know my mother, so but the others, I just wasn't doing what they were doing as a tribe, and this was very clear to me as 4, okay? So, I had that angelic encounter, and then I knew that I wasn't alone, and I was seeing chakras on the energy field at 4, but I didn't have a word for it, and I had nobody to talk to. So, um, as a matter of fact, when Barbara Brennan came out with her groundbreaking book, the Hands of Light, um, and she mapped out the chakra system, um, the way she did it, and she was a scientist. I don't know if you're familiar with her. But,
Yes.
anyway, it was sort of like flat in 3D and the way she drew it in the diagrams and so on. But the way that I saw them, they were like flowers. And so I could see these flowers on people's bodies. And I was drawing these, yeah, drawing, the child drawing these magenta purple flowers that open up. And, I was drawing people's chakras. It was very odd if because I didn't know what it was. So, um, the way I see chakras and the way I always say them is they're like flowers and they undulate. They don't really spin. We say they spin clockwise. They don't really kind of do that. They do, but they don't. Like inside, there's a vortex that does spin, but the, the chakras themselves kind of undulate. Right? And then each um, color, they're all connected. which is another interesting thing because the colors we can say, let's say, for example, the root chakra is red. Well, it is, but also it's a bit of orange, and then the orange is a bit of red and yellow, and then the yellow is a bit of red and orange and yellow and green, and so on up the thing. So they're like three-dimensional, colorful flowers with the predominant color of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. You know what I mean? That's the predominant color of flower, but they're kind of a mixture, and they're beautiful. They're like undulating things. It's gorgeous. But anyway, to get back to the thing, that was like what I was seeing that for. I didn't know what they were. I had no one to talk to, and I was like, okay, well, that's really pretty. So I drew them, and then later came to understand what they were. So in terms of the music, at four, I think I've heard this from a lot of psychics too. Four seems to be some magical age where a lot of stuff happens. So, anyway, my mother bought a grand piano and then pretty soon she procured the services of a blind piano teacher. And this guy came in, he had his black glasses on, like Jose Feliciano. And, I'm like, okay, what are you? I was a very precocious child. I made him take his glasses off. And I said, "How in the world are you gonna teach me how to play this thing?" And he took them off, and he looked me right in the eyes best as he could, and and he goes, "Child, we don't need to see the music, only feel the music." And then he, like, took my hand and showed me that. I could feel the vibration through his hand. So that's how that all
Oh,
started.
oh my goodness.
I know. It was,
Wow.
pretty amazing. Yeah.
I can just picture everything you're saying too with the chakras, and I can only imagine as a toddler how you would feel not being able to tell anyone what you were seeing, but I'm glad you could draw it.
Yeah, and, I just was obsessed with drawing these particular flowers, all the time. But, when I was in 5th grade, we moved, and I remember I was sitting next to this girl, and I was the new girl, right? And, um, this girl, I could hear her thoughts. I could hear them like they were just things, and I looked at her, and then all of a sudden she looked at me, and she knew that I could hear her thoughts, and she got really scared, and like, I kinda had a hard time after that with people because I could hear their thoughts and, but I could see what really struck me was the fear. He got really scared because he knew I just heard her thought, which was kind of about how weird my knee socks were or something. I was the new kid, I was dressed kind of strange, I guess, for being school. Um, yeah, but that moment, like, she knew I knew. And I think a lot of psychics do encounter that, where people get scared because they think you know everything about them, but that isn't how it goes. Um, and
Yep, that's right.
yeah, that's not how it goes. But when people know that sometimes they get scared. But I think too, I learned early on, don't be afraid of your own gifts and powers because they're gifts. They're gifts from spirit. Uh, you got to figure out what to do with them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so true. And some of us, especially who are sensitive, will shut down when we feel fear from others because we don't want to scare people. So yeah,
Right.
that it's a tough journey, sometimes, especially when the world wasn't so open. Even just a few short years ago, people I think are more open to this now.
It's a little better, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, years and years ago, I had a husband who said to me, "Okay, now we're married. you can't be psychic. I go, what?
Oh,
I, I go, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't be psychic. I, I can't
yeah,
not be who I am.
exactly.
It's
Exactly.
not something, it's not something I do. It's who I am. Like music is part of who you are. Take all your gifts out of the refrigerator and do something with them, and that's who you are. But you can't not be who you are. You can stop, you know, uh, going for a walk, but that doesn't stop who you are.
Yeah, exactly. No, and so the way you described the chakras, some of the images, and how it relates to frequency and music, how does frequency and music in your experience relate to the images that we create in our reality? Um, do you have any insights about healing images or how some music could create that versus maybe some other maybe lower frequency music can create more angry images, or how does it relate to images? How does frequency and music relate?
Yeah, so um, I know a lot of psychics get this. We get like a movie, we get pictures, we already have that imagery going, right?
Yes.
Um, still, still, um, I don't know if you know this, but I have two books on manifesting, money and manifesting, and then money and manifesting too. And now visualizing and having those images, uh, it's a huge part of manifesting. But see, my point in those books, which I don't want to get off on that topic, but the point there is about creating uh, reality through imagery that isn't really imagery, it's actually real. I don't know how else to best describe it,
Yeah.
but because it it's not when you here's how I did it when I was on my money and manifesting tour in 2010. People were really into what do you call it, vision boards. Vision boards were like the big huge thing. I go, people, you're doing your image board flat. You
Interesting.
have to do it. Yeah, it's going to stay flat, linear. Manifesting is done in what, three-dimensional. Three, I used to just say 3D, but now people are get confused between 3D and 5D and what they do with 4D. But
Yeah.
my point, my point is that when you're doing it on a vision board, you're doing it flat. It's going to stay flat and linear. It's like writing yourself a check for $1 million, putting it on the refrigerator, and going, "Where is this thing?" It's
Interesting.
the yeah, it's good. It has no choice. You created it linearly. It's gonna stay on your refrigerator as a check, flat,
Mm.
linear. So when you create in your mind there with music and meditation and imagery and channeling or however you want to get those images in your mind, what you're doing is you're creating it in um, multidimensionally. Let me put it that way. And that is where manifesting starts. That's how you have to do it.
Mhm.
That's exactly how you have to do it because otherwise you're creating flat things. They're not going to pop up off your refrigerator and become a. I don't care how much mental thought you put on it, it can't transform. What transforms it is those well, part of it. That's kind of a process, but it's the part they left out of the secret. They didn't tell you that you have to do it multidimensionally, image-wise, and that image has to be multidimensional. So it can't just be that flat check, right? That's never gonna turn never gonna turn into your $1,000,000
That's so
ever.
interesting. So should we still create the vision board, or how would we apply that? Is it from meditation?
Yeah, so I don't have anything against vision boards at all because it's a part of the process. It's just you have to understand the linearness of that, um, so it can't jump off the page. You've gotta then create it in your mind as well.
Right,
You
right.
have you have to see it, you have to be it, you have to live it, you have to immerse yourself in it, not just a flat idea of it. That's step 1, that idea of it. How are
Yes.
you gonna make the yeah, you gotta take steps to make your idea into a reality.
Mm.
I mean,
That's
anyone that's
it.
ever started yeah, anybody that's ever started a business knows that. You can have the idea for the business, and then you're gonna sit there and think about your business and do nothing. You your business is gonna go no place. You have to first that right? Have the vision and then make it a reality
Mhm.
with your imagery and with your actions and your thoughts and your knowings. But yeah, you can think about the business all day long, but it's not going to do anything unless you work with it. You got to work with it.
Yeah.
And
No,
yeah,
that's great.
manifesting is a whole
Yeah.
different character. But the way I just have to tell you, the way I wrote those 2 books, I wrote them, they're not just information. Like, The Secret had just come out, and I go, "Oh, no, 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 no. They're leaving so much out of this. I have to write a book." So I wrote, the first Money and Manifesting, and Spirit said to me, "Okay, write these 7 characters." She go, "You gotta be kidding. I've never written a character in my life. What are they supposed to do? Just write them and, they're gonna do something." Okay, great. So, how it was written was that, there's fiction, there's a fictional story that's wrapped around information. So the purpose of that, gotta love spirit, is that it makes your brain go left brain, right brain, left brain, right brain. That's the integration that you'll need as a foundation for manifesting.
That's really
So
cool.
thank you. Yeah, I mean, I can't take credit for it. It was spirit, right? I just followed the directions. I was willing. It's a big thing for people. You got to be willing to write the book or take the next step, or even if you don't know the how of it, you have to be willing to go in that direction. I was willing. So I wrote this first character and I'm like, okay, great. He sounds pretty messed up. What's that about? Well, he vibrated to the root chakras. He was having survival mode. And, I mean, it was all about the root chakra. And then the next character was all about the second chakra and so on and so on and so on. And then they all interacted in a way that brought them to their higher place. And then, like I said, left brain, right brain. So your brain is forced to go back from the story to the info to the story to the info to the story to the info. That's setting that integration foundation. So then I have people after that go, "What happened to these characters? We love the characters. What happened?" I go, "Okay, really?" So, uh, so I did Money and Manifesting too, which was kind of actually sort of a murder mystery thing wrapped around manifesting and stuff. So it just got a little bit more interesting and higher, and it still went left brain, right brain, left brain. And then it helped people get closure on the characters. They all developed. It, it was a lot of fun. And, they all got higher and uh, did their ultimate, what they came to do.
I love that so much, and I'm glad you explained that for us. Now I have to ask you about twin flames. What do musical frequencies have to do with the twin flame? Does everybody have a twin flame?
This is one of my very favorite subjects, and I could go on forever. Uh, everyone does not have a twin flame. Number two, the name twin flame has been so romanticized. It's like the, the twin flame and soulmate. these are not synonymous terms. They are not the same thing. No,
Thank
everyone doesn't have
you.
a Twitter.
Thank you so much for saying that.
You're welcome. And seriously, you know, to be careful what you ask for because you might not even want your twin flame once I explain what this really is. So, I mean, if you ask me what music has to do with it, well, I think music has a lot to do with everything. But you could actually call your twin flame in with music and musical frequencies if you wanted. But like I said, maybe you wouldn't want to do that. So I give you a couple of characteristics that kind of characterize the twin flame relationship. And believe me, if you're in it, you know it. You don't even have to ask someone, is this my twin flame? You don't even have to ask.
It's
And
true.
it's a, yeah, yeah. So, um, yeah. So the twin flame thing is like, usually, and I'm just going to generalize, usually there's an age gap. Usually it's the woman that's older, and usually it's more spiritually advanced, or one of you is more spiritually advanced. I've seen it the other way too, where the man is way older. Um, and I don't really know, but I would censor to say Bo Derek and John Derek, if you know what those are. Uh, the girl who was in the movie 10, Bo Derek, she married that guy who was very, very, very much older than she was. I think that was a twin flame relationship. Nobody understood it but them, and he ended up dying. But and they didn't divorce. But anyway, I wasn't in that relationship, so I can't speak to it. But there's usually an age gap, is my point. Then there's a triggering that goes on. So we would say it's a mirror. It is a mirror. It is not like a soulmate relationship where feel like you're working as a team. It's not a traditional kind of thing where you just go build a life and you're all live happily ever after. That is not this. This is a triggering, at least in the beginning stages. It's triggering. It's triggering for purposes of healing. You can trigger each other like no other people can in the world. So maybe someone was trying to tell you something and you never got it. Well, your twin flame can trigger you in such a way that you are going to get that thing in 5 minutes. Okay, that's that. That's right. That's the intensity of this. This is a very intense thing, and so the mirror aspect. So let's say your twin, you trigger your twin triggers you. You you have to separate because it's two influence. There are a lot of separation periods, and then what you're supposed to do in the separation, work on yourself. Don't do the running and chasing. Those are some of the dynamics that go along with this twin flame relationship. So what's happening is a lot of people are meeting their twin flames now because I'm just kind of generalizing, say that the male counterpart is much younger. Well, no, that male counterpart is 30 or 40 or whatever. And the female counterpart is older and wiser and so on. So the timing is now. So a lot of people are meeting their twin. And believe me, a lot of them just don't like it. And so they get tired of it and they go, you know, I, I, they try to get off that journey. I don't want to do this. Well, that's your choice, but kind of not really because you're not done. So once you've accomplished the mission of healing and unity that's supposed to happen, then you can be done. But you can try to be done, but you're not going to be because you're not done. It's a weird thing, I tell you. And yeah,
Yeah.
but please don't romanticize it.
Mhm.
There's so many. So those are my sort of generalized things, but to identify the twin flame relationship. I've done. I don't know, 15, 20 decks now for twin flames and healing the feminine energies, healing the masculine energies, trying to balance, trying to come to union. And union, by the way, Lindsay, does not necessarily mean, oh, we get married, we have two children and a dog. Okay, that's not it. That's not the purpose of this film, right? So, um, yeah, spirit directed me to start making those decks to try to help people understand it on a vibrational level so they can um, deal with it and conquer it and master it, right?
Yeah. Oh, I love how you define the twin flame and how you can call in your twin flame if you choose to do so, if, you want to, with frequency, almost like with song, a song in your heart, so to speak, if that makes any sense. I totally relate
Oh,
to that. Um, yeah.
I love that. I love that. So here's the way I used to tell my clients, and not wasn't necessarily about twin flames, but you want to ask if you feel like you want to call in uh, your person. Let's say, let's just call it our person. If you want to do that, ask for the highest and best, um, uh, the highest and best. Gosh, it's been a long time. The highest and best version of my higher self that is incarnated at the same time I am. My
Wow.
highest and best.
That's a powerful
Yeah.
mantra. I think that's brilliant. Yeah. We could use that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
better than going, I want to call in my twin flame. 'Cause I don't
Yeah.
think you do, really.
I know that I know that on my journey, I had to meet a twin flame without knowing that I had to do this, but years later, I was told by spirit in a very deep meditation that this relationship with the twin flame that ended up going apart, which was good for both of us, um, we were meant to move the needle. So when we got together, it was like, okay, let's move the needle so we can get back on track and get to where we actually want to go. So that was
that
a really challenging situation.
that that's exactly what it is. You want to move the needle.
Mhm.
That's exactly it. And yes, very challenging because remember, it's a mirror. So the idea is you have to it makes you look at that reflection inside your own self.
Yes, that's right. It's like my guides kept saying to me at the time, just to support your point, they would always say, whatever you're angry at with him or whatever you want to do with him, say it to yourself. It was a pure mirror to the point
Yeah.
where uh some girlfriends at the time thought that I had made up the name of this person with the blog that they had because it looked so much like me, but a male version. So it was just really interesting. Yeah. No, so I understand. I understand what you're saying, and I'm so glad that you are distinguishing it from soulmate because I feel like, in our case, we had to go through that to get the soulmate, and the soulmate relationship is calm. It's, that relationship that you wanna have with your divine. It's really different than the twin flame.
It is. It's not as tumultuous. You are building something with each other from the start, and you're not there to trigger. And but the twin flame journey is a gift in its own way. Um,
Yes,
it's still yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and so in your work as well with frequencies, perhaps it's related to music. Are you seeing a lot of unhealed energies? I know some people are talking about unhealed masculine energies that are coming up. Do you experience any of that?
Yeah. So the thing is with that, we all have masculine and feminine energies within us. But the unhealed, so when we don't want to forget that because the idea is to balance those. no matter what gender we are. Okay.
Yes, that's right.
So, so the unhealed masculine energies are showing up like that whole patriarchal thing or divide, conquer, dominate, control, misguided power, like that. Okay. So twin flame relationships kind of help the masculine get the bigger picture of who they are, um, and try to heal both masculine and feminine. That's the goal, heal the masculine and feminine energies within yourself, and the twin flame does the same as well. So those unhealed things can also show up like a toxicity, narcissism, and narcissism is another term that gets broadly applied that a lot of times doesn't apply. But the running away, the running and chasing, the not wanting to come into union, not facing the childhood wounding, um, now understanding that the feminine energies don't want to trap you. It's stuff like that. That's the way the unhealed masculine energies are showing up. And I guess the broader term for that is just that whole patriarchal thing. It- We need balance, is what it is. Balance.
Yeah, and what else do you feel that humanity is working on right now in 2024 with their frequencies?
Yeah, so looks to me like humanity is still struggling with the root chakra issues. Money, power, money as misguided power, survival, family stuff, tribal stuff, addiction. Those are things that all live in the root. And humanity seems kind to be stuck there wallowing around in the mud, right? So what happens is we end up creating this divide between the earthly kind of stuff and the more ascended kind of stuff. And then we've created the illusion of separation very nicely. Thank you very
Right.
much. That's what has to go. So it's part of the whole twin flame thing too. We're not separate. And I'm not trying to say the woo woo oneness thing. That's not it. But this is an illusion. So when you have the illusion of separation, you get stuck there in the root chakra because you think that your earthly stuff is the reality. Well, it isn't. The reality is somewhere in that balance zone of, balancing your spiritual stuff with your earthly stuff. Yeah, we have to live here. Yes, we go by hours and minutes and money and earthly stuff, but it isn't really real. What we have to do is like learn to um, master it and live with it. And it just, people like time management, things like that. People that can't manage their time, they're not really here. Those people they're someplace else. So manage, the things of the earth. You gotta balance them with the things of the spirit, and that's what we're working on. It's just unity.
Wonderful.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I would agree with you. That's great. Sometimes we can get lost in those earthly things because in a lot of the times in our realities, maybe we're forced to, or there's a challenging situation we don't know how to get through, or there's, something to do with survival. So I like how you related that to the root chakra. Yeah, it's true, you know? So
well, yeah, it is. It is, and you know what? We are all being challenged to get out of the mud. I mean, just
yes.
get out of that.
Yes. And is there a practice that you employ in your life dealing with, balancing frequencies, perhaps using music to aid with that? Is there a practice that you use in your daily life that you could share with the viewers about how to balance their frequencies, whatever it is that they're dealing with?
Yes, I hope this is helpful. I mean, but I've done this for years, so to me, and that, but meditation. In fact, I have a whole site. I have a bunch of meditations. Meditationgoddess.com. Music. It uses music and meditation to help people with different issues. I think the problem with meditation is people have trouble, um, you know, disconnecting from the earthly stuff and going into that place that we need to go. But for myself, yeah, it's music, it's meditation, it's balance, it's not freaking out about earthly stuff, trusting. That is a hard thing for people to do. I've been through enough in my life where I know stop worrying about anything and just let it flow. Whatever it is, it is. Let it be. If you really trust and you really know that you're connected, you don't ever worry about anything, ever.
That's true.
You do what, yeah, you don't. You just do what you're guided to do. You don't worry about the how. How is this character going to be? What are these people going to do? What am I going to do with this book? Stop worrying about all that. Just do it.
Right, and don't
Yeah,
compare yourself to others, right? I that's what I heard too from what you said.
yeah, ever. Because just, keep your eyes on your own paper and just do what
Yeah,
you came here to do. But, Um, I swim every day for my whole life. And when I swim, I meditate because you get to a place there where you're just sort of you're in your body, but you're out of your body. So I just meditate in there. And to me, all good things happen in the pool. Always. But I wanted to share with you this vision this morning now when I swim. It's for humanity, actually. Don't you ask me about humanity. So Spirit gave me this vision this morning of like a seesaw. The kind we see on the playground. I don't the teeter totter is what it is. That's what it is. And I don't even know if they have those on playgrounds anymore. They're probably been outlawed because they were but I don't know if you're familiar, but one kid sits on one side. It's a board. One kid sits on one side, one kid sits on the other. And then as the one goes down, the other one goes up, right? So you're either up or you're down. You're up or you're down. You're up. You're in the mud or you're up in the air. Well, what we need to do and what we're working on, and what I've said a couple times here is we need to get to that balance. Okay. So when we're both in the middle there, we're balanced. We're not in the mud. But we're not crazy up in the air either. We're
yeah,
at the balance. So if we could do that, that would be good. And that's what Spirit wanted me to impart to the listeners today is about uh, don't think that you're in some kind of this is all an illusion, right? Stop getting so heated up about every little tiny thing. It's a waste of energy. Try to don't go to the mud and don't go way up in the clouds. A balance.
love that. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's from spirit, they have a way with words that I just don't have. But that's what we're doing. And I think too, when we find ourselves getting so far away from who we are, do things to get into your center. So when we talk about if we have that vision of that seesaw or that teeter totter, the idea is to get to center. And when we think about center, it's the center not just of that teeter totter thing, but the center of yourself, the the heart center. Because if we can get away from either extreme, which is not healthy for anybody ever, and get to the heart center and remain in the heart center, stop attacking each other, stop with the awful things that are going on, get to your heart center. If we all came from that place, well, we have no where else to go but up. That's
Yes.
all I know. That's what I know.
Wow. Well, thank you. Diane, is there anything else you would like to share with us today or anything else that is coming to you?
Yeah, I think spirit said it all. That's what I think. Uh,
It
um,
yeah, it was wonderful, the download that you got in the pool.
yes, a daily occurrence, and I encourage everyone to do their own form of exercise and let it flow to you, right?
I
That
love
just happened to be my thing. But,
Now, where else
um,
find you
yeah,
online or with your cards, your books, the Sedona Journal? Where else can we find you?
yes, son, that's right. This boggles my own mind. All right, so Dyan Garris Music.com. It's DYAN. Garris like Harris Bank, only with a G. Music.com. And my cards are all in my Etsy, which is just Diane Garris Oracles on Etsy. And then I have a free angel card reading site, which I think uh, I hear people really find beneficial. It's been there for years. And I have several different kinds of readings there for free. I'll keep it there forever for people. But it's just freeangelcardreadings.com. And um, what else? I don't do readings anymore, so um, no more DyanGarris.com. That's where I did readings from. Uh, Sedona Journal, of course, SedonaJournal.com, and my music column, which I love doing. And I have a radio station here. It's called NewAgeNotes.com, and that's where you're going to find all this kind of music that we're talking about. The kind of music that's going to soothe you and bring you to your center. That's what we're going to do. Um, and I think that's all I know, Lily.
This is wonderful. And thank you so much for all of your time today and for sharing with us about your experience with frequencies and music and how it all affects our lives here.
Yes, well, I have great hope for humanity, a great love for humanity. We have done everything I've done, and I hope that we're just going to do it. Let's get out of the mud and get going.
I
But
love
I wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank you for having me on. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you as well. And for those of you who are here today, we have Diane Garris. We have all of the links posted about where to find her work, the music, the cards in the post, as well as if you go to sedonajournal.com, we will be posting Diane's monthly music journalism column where she reviews very talented artists and musicians on that column. So make sure you go to sedonajournal.com as well just to check that out and to stay tuned if you want to continue hearing about subjects like this, like we talked about today. So thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to more.
Thank you.